So I thought it would be a good idea to kind of record my story for people to know what happened to me, according to the other videos. Um, I, I'm actually at a hotel in Elk Grove. Since we evacuated, we originally, when I got out of being trapped, I ended up going to my wife's house and in Orville, and then we got a door-to-door warning from there saying that we should evacuate. So we decided just get out of Dodge, and essentially we just got as far away as we could, so that we didn't have to go to sleep and wondering if there's flames outside of our door. So that's why we're here in Elk Grove. But in terms of what happened on that day, um, I woke up. I had no clue that there was even a fire outside until I walked outside to get in my car, but had almost no information on how far away it was. I didn't know anything about the fire. I just figured I'd go to work and then, uh, go about my day, because every time there's ever been a fire, it kind of blew over and wasn't close enough for it to be a threat. To my surprise, when I got to work, they were saying that we needed to evacuate, and so they sent me home. I called my wife, had her. Uh, I asked her to come and meet me at our house so we could pack and get going, just in case. I had, again, still had no idea much information, like what was going on. Um, so I drove to our house, and traffic wasn't too bad. Like, some people were driving kind of quick, but I didn't think much of it. And I got into our house and started packing stuff, and I started hearing these loud pop, 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 uh, like really loud to where it was shaking the house a little bit. And like that got me a little scared, so I hurried up and started packing up some essentials. And then all of a sudden the power went out, and that's when I realized this is serious. Um, from and so I started just grabbing whatever I could, frantically just packing like clothes, and like trying to get a full set of clothes, and just really essentials. Then while I was doing that, I heard a really loud bang, like louder than any of the pops by like whole bunches of magnitudes. Like the whole house shook, like the glass shook. Uh, and at that point, I was like, I have to get out of here. Like, it doesn't matter what I pack. I need to get out of here if I want to live. Um, and so I got in my car. Saw my neighbors doing the same thing. They were just getting out of there. Or initially, I tried going down the road uh, in one direction, and then on the and then by the time I got down to the stop sign at the end of the road, uh, they had me turn around because apparently the fire was in that direction, even though I was trying to get onto Clark and get out on Clark, or even off of Skyway, but apparently those directions were already catching fire. Um, so that I got turned around, and in the short time that it took me to get to the stop sign and turned around and go up and back to my house, the fire was literally across the street from my house, and traffic was like at a snail's pace, but it was moving. So I just kind of kept my pace. Initially, it was like everyone. It's a one way road. Each one lane road, and so each side was kind of, it was just one side going, and but as things got worse and the flames got closer, they turned it into a two-lane road, and people started going in both lanes, and it was still uh, snail pace. Traffic was all the way behind me. It was a miracle I even got to turn out from my house to get onto the road. By the time I hit Skyway, um, like the flames had been traveling behind me, and like keeping pace with me, up up until a short distance before that, and then the winds changed, and so it kind of veered off to the side and stopped following me. Um, and then I was allowed to move forward in front of this. There was a red barn kind of in front of this mobile home park, and traffic just stopped for like, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, about that. And I started hearing that people in that mobile home park were still around their homes and their cars, and the traffic was so jammed that they couldn't pull away from their homes because the traffic went all the way back to their home, and they couldn't come down the driveway to get out onto the road and get away from their houses, which were on fire. Um, Fortunately, I stopped when it became my turn to move forward. I ended up actually holding back so that I could allow them out and on onto the road. Um, and once they were fully forward, the flames started slowly catching up to our cars, and there was a Pepsi truck back behind us that started like unloading all their stuff, with the plan of possibly having people load up in there, and then having like airdrops drop on us as a last ditch effort to keep us alive, basically. Um, Fortunately, they attempted to make a run for Skyway, and so the group ahead of me um, tried to go down Skyway to get out, but which allowed me to move forward, uh, up until about like I was like across from this fast trip, and but unfortunately the people that went on Skyway to get out, that excursion failed. They ended up having to abandon their vehicles and then being ushered back by the firemen. And at that point, they basically told us we were surrounded by fire. We are not going anywhere in our cars. We are not escaping. We just have to sit put. And so they blocked off they blocked off the parking lot that's being put in, with the Optimo and the cafe that they were building that wasn't yet complete. And they blocked that off, and everyone just got out of their cars, left their cars on the road, and then went to that parking lot, as a last ditch effort place to just make our stand, and hopefully we wouldn't burn to death. Fortunately, there were quite a few number of um, police officers and firefighters there, so that helped make things a little less panicky. Um, and while I was there, I mean, the fire just slowly crept closer and closer to where we were at. Like it burned all around us, and I mean, I don't remember the exact time because I didn't timestamp it or anything, but um, it burned it burned around us, and we were stuck there from about 9 a.m. until about 5 p.m. And we literally were watching the whole town burn around us, and we were watching it catch buildings on fire and burning the house to the ground to ashes. Um, and the fire got so close that it was literally, you're looking right at it, and it was, mind you, the fast trip is right across the street from us, and that being a gas station. If that caught fire, the explosion would probably kill us just because of the proximity of the explosion. I mean, I'm no expert, but we were pretty close, and the fires got right up to it. Like, there's a fence and then parking lot. It was catching the tree that was right next to the fence on fire. Um, Fortunately, the firemen kind of took care of that, and so we were good for a good amount of time. And so we just basically just sat there waiting in the smoke, for it to all go away. And when it got really bad, they just sent us in. They had us, a fireman break into the cafe that was being built, so that we would be out like in some sort of shelter. And everyone got in there and waited out the flames. And eventually, when the flames got around us. We went to the other side, just trying to rotate around according to what is farthest away from the flames. Um, and then, but what I think what around when we started getting closer to 5 o'clock, what ended up happening was um, the flames were going behind the gas station at this point, to where there wasn't really any access for the firemen to fight it. Um, and I think they were afraid that the gas station would catch on fire and then kill us. So what they did is they had people like firemen go down onto Clark, and I think they used a bulldozer or something. I didn't really get to watch what was going on, but they cleared the roads and were trying to make it so that people could go down on Clark to the Kmart parking lot. Uh, and once they had finished clearing that, they offered to. Well, they didn't offer. They basically said, "Get on the road uh, and go, just go." So I was one of the first people to jump on that and get on out of there. Um, and so, yeah, I just drove from Fast Trip on Clark to the parking lot at Kmart. And once I was there, I found out that we could continue on towards Oroville on Clark. So I went for it. I didn't want to be around all this, and I want to get far as away as possible. Um, what I saw was literally like the apocalypse. Like it looked like an atomic bomb had gone off. Um, the entire town was burned. Like as I'm driving down Clark, there are power poles that have been burned off. So they're just hanging by the wires that are attached to other power poles, which are also singed. And like there was only a couple people in front of me, and and as we're driving down, one of the car that was in front of me almost got hit by a power pole, which fell across the entire road. And if they hadn't been paying attention, they probably would have been killed. Um, yeah, it was pretty intense. Um, but the damage was like almost every building you saw was on fire, burnt, or destroyed in some fashion. I mean, very, very few buildings on Clark Road were left standing. And it was that way all the way up past Paradise. I, I, the burn damage didn't even stop until we were almost at Butte College. Um, it was absolutely intense. Anyway, so I drove all the way to my wife's family in Orville, and that's where I stayed for a few hours. Took a shower, ate a meal, thought, I'll stay there overnight and have some rest and stay there until all this is over. Well, no sooner than when I finished taking my shower and eating, did we find out that firemen are going from door to door in Oroville, saying that we need to evacuate. It was like we need to go. And at that point, I was just done. I needed to make sure that my wife's family was safe, and I needed to make sure that my wife was safe. So, and I forgot to mention way back then, my wife never made it to the house. She got turned around and before she made it to me, and went to her family's house. I forgot to mention that earlier. Um, so we just met each other at her family's place, and I'm just so thankful she was safe. She's an amazing person, and I just the tears coming out of her eyes. I was able to hold myself together up until that point, but I couldn't help but shed. Like I broke apart when I saw how upset she was. I didn't. That was hard to go through, and was just so happy to see her alive and okay. But anyway, so after we had the reunion, I had my shower and eaten and all that stuff. We went over here to Oak Grove, and that's where we've been staying. Um, At this point, the plan is to return to Chico or Oroville or whichever one is safest tomorrow, and so that's where we're going to stay until we get to see what the property is. And I actually will be filming that when we actually get to see the property, and so hopefully I'll get some viewers and stuff to look at this and see exactly what happened to our properties. If you're watching this, I would greatly appreciate anyone to make a donation. It's going to go directly to helping us survive this. I am 99.99% sure that our house is gone. My grandma's house is gone. My sister's house is gone. My parents' house is maybe gone. Um, uh, all my family support around this area has had to leave, and we have no idea when we'll be coming back or if they'll be moving back at all. Um, but I have obligations here. I work with adults with mental disabilities, and they need my help because they've lost their homes too. Shout out to California Vocations, by the way. Amazing place to work. So, yeah. Please consider donating to the link below in the description. And I hope all you are safe and doing okay. I really do. Um, God bless you all.